After a prime-time win under the lights at Acrisure Stadium last Sunday, the Steelers are ready for some Monday Night Football from the North Shore as the New York Football Giants come to town. We have the latest on the matchup one day early. You are watching Steelers Kickoff live right here on KDKA TV.
Welcome to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Good morning, everyone. It's a live look at the North Shore in Acrisure Stadium, site of tomorrow night's matchup between the Giants and Steelers, back-to-back primetime matchups with back-to-back New York teams. Welcome inside the KDKA TV studios for another edition of Steelers Kickoff. I'm Bob Pompeani, flanked by the quarterback of the program, Mr. Charlie Batch. Here as usual, Rich Walsh and Gerry Dulac will join us momentarily. So, Charlie, with everything surrounding last week's game, we're talking about Wilson's debut. We're talking about the 1974 team being honored. Aaron Rodgers in town. How big of a win was that over the Jets, especially because it was a come from behind and in conference where tiebreakers become very important?
Oh, it was big. Huge night of celebration. You had to celebrate the 1974 team, so you know the energy was electric in that stadium. And what's more important is the fact that you could not get the 3-3. You had to figure out a way to get the 4-2. The Steelers did that. Hats off to that entire team because they were able to deliver.
Well, the big story from last Sunday's game was the debut of veteran quarterback Russell Wilson in a Steelers uniform, and some were very surprised with his performance right out of the gate. His inactivity it had to be taken into consideration, and that led to a slow start for Wilson. Very inauspicious first half. Jets built a big lead, but as the game unfolded, Wilson started to cook, connecting with George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth, along with a touchdown from Van Jefferson. The offense seemed to click. A lot of players getting involved in this production, by the way. The result was 31 unanswered points in what turned out to be a Steelers blowout win. So let's take a look at the Hyundai by the numbers Steeler debut at quarterback. You'll see Wilson now tops the list, most passing yards in a Steelers debut with 264. He's also the first quarterback to make his debut with an NFL team to score over 30 points. Big stuff from Wilson, who had better Steeler debuts than Earl, Morrow, Ben Roethlisberger, Terry Bradshaw. Now, he's also 35, 36 years old. So, Charlie, after shaking off some of that rust, Wilson obviously played very well. Hard to imagine, the expectations, given the fact that he had not played a meaningful game in like 11 months. Was he better than you thought he could be in week one for him?
Well, I thought it went exactly how it was going to go. He was going to get off to a slow start. That actually showed up in the numbers. He was 0 for 6 on third downs, and it wasn't until that Bishop interception gave them great field position and got the momentum going in the half to allow him to get his feet back underneath him and get the offense going in the manner of the second half like you saw. So that's exactly where I thought it was going to go.
The move to start Wilson over Justin Fields was certainly not unanimous with a lot of people around town, perhaps some inside the team facility having their reservations as well. How much of this is Mike Tomlin making a decision? He said he went all in on his own. Did you credit Tomlin for doing that, even though Fields was looking so good in his time at 4-2?
Yeah, this is a decision that he gets paid to make, right? It wasn't a sexy decision or a favorable decision, but he was watching everything in practice unfold. A lot of things that people outside in the national media weren't able to see, and you get to see the energy that was being brought to that offensive side of the ball, and that's why he's here, because of his experience, and it showed on Sunday night.
And that was sort of the game plan coming in as he was in the, quote, pole position. Now, it's time for our Cleveland Brothers quarterback analysis, and let's actually make it a quarterback wide receiver analysis. George Pickens had a big game, as you know. How much can a quarterback affect receivers, especially one like George Pickens?
It can. It comes back to trust, right? Because there's a lot of times that we know that George Pickens is going to be double teamed, but that your quarterback has enough confidence to deliver that football in tight coverage. He's able to do so. Also, down the field, giving your receivers opportunities, putting the ball in the air. A lot of them weren't on the money, but when you give your receiver a chance to make a play, that's what happens in that particular manner, and it showed in the numbers, 100-yard performance. That Pickens right there.
That's right. Now we head across the studio. Rich Walsh, Gerry Dulac are here for a deeper look inside that Steelers offense with Russell Wilson at the helm, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. So, Gerry, a nice debut from Russell Wilson last week, but let's talk about the running backs right now. Last week, Najee Harris recorded his second straight 100-yard game, and he seems to be on the rise. Now take a look at this graphic. He's putting up better numbers overall this year, especially in rushing and receiving yards per game. Jerry, do you think Najee is having his best season since his rookie year?
Well, Rich, I would say most definitely. And when it's not just his rushing numbers, it's his big play runs. When you watch Najee Harris, he's running more free. His good friend Pat Freiermuth mentioned that to me the other day, and you can just see it, and it's evident by the fact that since the start of last season, he has 13 runs of 20-plus yards. Now, this is a 235-pound running back. Only 4 running backs in the league have more 20-yard runs than Najee Harris in that time, and the leader is Derrick Henry with 15. So his 13 20-yard runs are among the best in the league, and that's what we're seeing the difference in Najee Harris right now.
All right, let's stay in the backfield. Jaylen Warren has been dealing with both a hamstring, knee injuries this year, but he's looked a lot quicker the last game. Do you think he's 100% healthy right now?
Yeah, well, I don't know about 100%, but I will say he looked better last week. 2 weeks ago in Vegas, you could tell they were trying to kind of almost force feed him back into the offense, and you could tell he wasn't the same Jaylen Warren. That wasn't the case against the Jets. He looked better. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's 100%, but he's getting better each game, and of course that's going to be big for their offense because they like to use both those guys.
Yeah, there's no question they need Jaylen Warren. Well, the Steelers will also be without Cordero Patterson tomorrow night. He was limited all week with an ankle injury and was ruled out just a little while ago earlier today. He should be back for that Washington game after the bye in a couple weeks.
Yeah, the bye's coming at a very good time, I think. We're just getting started right here on Steelers Kickoff. Rich is going to be back with an exclusive interview with Steelers captain Cam Hayward. Keep it locked right here. KDKA TV is your place to be.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Welcome back to Steelers Kickoff. Cam Hayward is the reigning Walter Payton Man of the Year, but even though he won that thing last year, he's still doing great things in the community, including Cam's Kindness Week, which was ramping up this week. Rich met up with him recently, and I'm sure he was doing some great stuff out there, as he always does, Rich.
Yeah, definitely. It was a special week and a special game for him coming up for Cam Hayward. I had a chance to talk to Cam about both of those topics and more after practice this week. How important is this week for you?
It's very important. We got to start Cam's Kindness Week about three years ago, and each year it gets better and better. But the main focus is to help our community, and everybody's doing their part, just trying to help. It can be somewhat of a daunting week, but I look forward to helping out.
Why are you so passionate about all these off-field ventures that you have?
I'm passionate because without them, I don't think I would be here today. I had a lot of people in my corner that gave back, and it's more of a thank you to them. It's more of a thank you saying to all the teachers who have helped me out. I was a kid at Children's Hospital who struggled with asthma, and so to give back and brighten not only the patient's day or the nurse's day, I think that's all we can do.
I know you really enjoy going to Children's Hospital. What's it like when you see a kid come up to you and big smile on their face or thank you?
Well, it's funny. Sometimes they start out very timid and very shy, but at the end they're ready to roughhouse and play around, and I just enjoy those moments because sometimes you don't know if they ever get to see anybody, and sometimes you can be very secluded in that. But if I can just brighten someone's day, that's all I want to do.
Hey, what does it mean to play in your 202nd game as a Steeler?
A lot of luck's involved in that. Staying healthy. But to be mentioned with guys like Donnie Shell and other great, defensive players who have played this game at a high level, I look forward to that. I welcome that. But 202 games seems like a lot.
Why was it so important for you to make sure that you signed an extension this offseason?
I think there's rarity in playing with one team and being a one-helmet guy. And I wanted that challenge. And I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to continue to be in one place because I know I inherited a lot of pressure in that. And I look forward to just answering that.
Our thanks to Cam for squeezing that interview into what was already a very busy week for him. Jerry, Cam may be kind off the field, but he's ferocious on the field. How do you think he's played this year, and how long do you think he can keep it going?
Well, Rich, other than punters, kickers, and long snappers, only 7 players, active players, have played in more games than Cam, and of that, only 3 are defensive linemen, and of that, only 1 has been with the same team, and that's Cam Jordan in New Orleans. And I think what's impressive about Cam is when he had the pectoral muscle injury in 2016 and missed the last 11 games, he came back with a first-team All-Pro season, and he's kind of doing the same thing this year after missing all those games or playing with all those injuries last year and missing, I think, 6 games. He's come back and he's played very, very well. 3 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. a number of tackles for losses, and he's part of the reason why that rush defense, 3.6 yards allowed, second in the league, and he's the big reason why.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he has a couple more years left in him. And fun fact, Cam Hayward got his first NFL interception against the Giants and Daniel Jones back in 2020. Hayward only has 2 interceptions, but that one was his first.
Makes them count. That's what matters. All right, gentlemen, thank you. And Cam isn't the only associate of ours making a difference in the community. The man sitting right here to my left has a big fundraiser in the pocket for the Batch Foundation. Looking forward to it.
Oh, we appreciate it. We are excited. We are celebrating 25 years of Best of the Batch Foundation, and we do so with our annual fundraiser, pool, poker, ping pong, and this raises funds for our STEAM programs and our after-school programs. So there are many ways to be involved. You see the QR code. There are going to be unique silent auction items that are available that will be up here this week. And also you can go to batchfoundation.org to be a part of it. So we just want to say thank you for all of the years of service, and we truly appreciate each and every one that believes in the mission and vision of Best of the Batch Foundation.
It's truly been a labor of love for you and Latasha, and it shows. You guys are passionate about it. Congrats. Coming up next, Rich is back with a preview of the Giants, who have not been prime time on prime time. We'll be right back here on KDKA.
Color rush uniforms this week.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, how about that?
And the Steelers are dressed in their color rush uniforms.
Color rush jerseys. Those are going to be the uniforms for Monday Night Football.
You know they come different when they wear these unis.
Oh, yeah, Color Rush on a Monday. And welcome back. It's not every day the Steelers have back-to-back primetime games, let alone back-to-back home games against both New York opponents. But they do. Rich Walsh is back with a preview of the G-Men. Rich, who have been far better on the road, though, than they have been at home.
Yeah, and Bob, the Steelers are in that New York state of mind for the second straight week. But unlike last week, they're probably feeling a little better about their chances against this second straight Big Apple opponent.
The New York Football Giants are celebrating their 100th season this year, but the team on the field is doing very little to bolster that celebration. They're just 2-5 on the season, and 3 of those 5 losses have been by 10 points or more. A big reason behind their centennial disappointment has been the play of their offense, specifically at quarterback. After letting Saquon Barkley walk in the offseason to the rival Eagles, the Giants have tried to rely on former first-round pick Daniel Jones to carry the load at quarterback, but Danny Dimes hasn't cashed in.
Jones throws over the middle. It is broken up.
He has one of the lowest completion percentages of any NFL QB and was actually benched in their loss last week against Philly. Jones's offensive line has certainly not helped. He's been sacked more times than anyone in the league other than Deshaun Watson. But their offense does have one dangerous weapon in rookie wide receiver Malik Neighbors. He's averaging 12 targets per game and his big play capability, but he's also struggled with drops this year, botching 2 key catches that led directly to late losses. Defensively, they rank in the middle of the pack in most categories, and they do have individual players who can wreak havoc, like linebacker Brian Burns. They've also relied on special teams to keep them in games.
It's blocked. Isaiah Simmons.
One of their 2 wins was secured by this blocked field goal in Seattle. So Danny Smith's crew will have to be on their game once again tomorrow night.
All right, taking a look at this week's South College game plan. The Steelers' game plan should be to dominate on defense, as the Giants rank near the bottom of the NFL in points scored and total yardage gained. And with a banged-up offensive line, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith could have a field day coming off the edge. And one matchup to watch out for with the Giants, defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence, who might be their best player against guys like Ryan McCollum and Mason McCormick.
Yeah, he's outstanding. 9 sacks, I believe, in his first 7 games. All right, Rich, thanks very much. Another advantage the Steelers have is their history of winning on Monday night football games. As you can see in these numbers coming up, the Steelers have had 0 case of the Mondays. In fact, they've been dominant on those nights, especially under Mike Tomlin, who is 20-4 overall on Monday night football. By the way, Daniel Jones is 0-3 on Monday night football, 1-14 in primetime games. So, Charlie, Mike Tomlin has said that he basically creates 2 Fridays on these weeks where they have an extra day to prepare. And the Steelers are notorious for having these practices on Friday that are harder than most teams. Is that the reason, or at least part of the reason, why they've had this kind of success on a Monday?
Yeah, it's part of the reason, but you also know that the rest of the world is watching this game, so you want to make sure that you're sharp in all areas. So he wants to make sure that he's focusing on red zone, short yardage, and goal line situation, because that is a huge difference from 3 points to 7 points. So when you're able to do that, that now allows you to separate yourself in ball games. You're able to, if you're able to actually put touchdowns on the board.
Yeah, and you got to take advantage of a team when they're down like the Giants here. Regardless of what day they play, the offensive line will always be a factor in an outcome of all games, and the Steelers are still missing a lot of starters up front, most of them out for the year. How do you think these young guys have looked so far, given the fact they've been thrown into this situation?
Yeah, last week I thought they was one of their better performances. I give them an A-. Ultimately, they were able to control the line of scrimmage, specifically in the second half. They were able to run the football, another 100-yard game by Najee Harris here, and able to protect Russell Wilson there. So with that ability there, Russell's able to use the snap count to his advantage, quick count, hard count, and that keeps that defensive front of the opposing team off balance, and those are the things that you need to have happen, specifically when you're playing at home.
And when you run the ball like that, play action for a guy like Russell Wilson is very important. He's very good at it. All right, now it's time to send the program to New York City. James Brown is standing by with a preview of the NFL Today on CBS. JB, what's going on?
Hey, Bob, up next on the NFL Today, we'll preview a battle in the AFC North. That's when Lamar and the Ravens take on the Cleveland Browns. And with Halloween just around the corner, the guys discuss the scariest teams around the league. Then, Commander star Bobby Wagner chops it up with fellow linebacker Frankie Louvu. That's before we look ahead as Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs face off with the Raiders. But first, Coach's guys, Bob and Charlie, they return when Steelers Kickoff continues right here on KDKA.
Steelers Kickoff is presented by Ford. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the best-selling truck in Pittsburgh.
All right, welcome back to Steelers Kickoff, everyone. The Steelers are off to a 5-2 start, largely due to a really good defense, which has been dominant in the final 2 quarters of almost every game. In 3 of their 7 wins, they've pitched shutouts in the second half, and they've allowed less than a second-half touchdown in all 5 of their wins. Charlie, how much of this is halftime adjustments?
Oh, this is big, and you have to credit defensive coordinator Terrell Austin for making those halftime adjustments, defensive stops that are happening, in addition to turnovers. And when that happens, that gives your offense more opportunities. They can now add to the lead, and then when that happens, now that opposing team, they become one-dimensional, and that's where you take advantage of your pass rushers and T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, and that's something that's a beautiful thing to watch, and I love what they're doing in the second half.
No question. And last week, a big part of their second half defense was a rookie, the defensive back, undrafted out of West Virginia, Beanie Bishop. And you saw a lot of Bishop in training camp and during our preseason games. Did you think he could possibly make this much of an impact, given the fact he was undrafted and really raw?
Yeah, they were hoping that would happen, right? They gave him a lot of reps throughout training camp. As you're an undrafted guy, Mike Tomlin wants to see what he has. He was making plays early in camp that were catching everybody's eyes and saying, hey, let's run him with the ones. And the confidence started brewing in that manner. So when you see him in games, you know he's going to be the target because he's a young guy on the team, and he's able to deliver like that. And what better way for you to get 2 interceptions, and like Mike Tomlin talked about, a Hall of Fame guy with Aaron Rodgers, you better believe that's one. Those 2 right there will be trophy worthy as he gets those autographs by Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Cam Sutton, actually, real quick, he's coming back. And what does that do to Beanie Bishop, do you think?
Yeah, I think he stays in his spot, but I think ultimately it creates more defensive packages for Terrell Austin there because you have the ability for a veteran guy to come in and play. Cam is ready to play, and he's ready to contribute in this defense.
And we saw him in the preseason, had an interception, actually, but he hasn't played since then. Almost out of time here on Steelers Kickoff. When we return, we have the picks of tomorrow night's game with the Giants, so that's coming up. Don't go away.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
You know what time it is. It's time to make a prediction. So we toss it back over to Rich and Jerry, who go first.
Well, one of us was right last week, and I'm going to go with the Steelers again against another New York team. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. The Giants are really bad, but the Steelers tend to play down to their competition. I like the Steelers in this game, 26-12.
You know, Rich, for a team that lives in one-possession games, the Steelers have won their past 2 by a total of 41 points. That's their largest back-to-back point differential in 8 years. I think it's going to continue. I like the Steelers in this game 30-15.
All right, so far 2 Steelers.
Another 30-point explosion. Charlie, what do you say?
Yes, I think the Steelers, they come out top to bottom. They go out here and they dominate this game from start to finish. And I truly believe that Mike Tomlin on the other end is throwing a bone out there to say, hey, you win this game, I'll give you an extra day off next week as you head into the bye week. With that being said, the Steelers win 34-9.
Yeah, you know, it's prime time. I don't care. If this was a 1 o'clock game, I would have a different opinion, I think. But I like the Steelers also. I don't think they'll get the 30, but 24-10 sounds good, and that would cover the spread. And that's going to do it for us. We have a lot coming up today. It's the NFL Today on CBS. That's next. At 1 o'clock, we have the Ravens and the Browns. Jameis Winston will go against a red-hot Lamar Jackson. Chiefs, Raiders, 425. 11:35 tonight's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Fittipaldo, Graves, Batko on the program tonight. And that's going to wrap it up for us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow at Acrisure Stadium.